All right, Dusty, let's keep this short and sweet because we like to extend our intros.
Just like you extended that intro?
Ooh.
Today on the podcast, we are talking about ministers of music ministry.
And we have a local celebrity on the show today. His name is Tyler Spradlin.
And he is a worship leader at Church That Matters
in Sand Springs, Oklahoma. So if you're ever in the Sand Springs area on a Sunday, stop in Church That Matters and listen to him sing.
His beautiful, beautiful voice.
He will serenade you.
You know the best part about being a worship leader when you're in high school?
What's that?
All the ladies.
Okay, and with that, let's go to our interview.
Today on the podcast, we have a very special guest. Watch out, ladies. He's no longer single, so back off. Well, I mean, he's engaged.
Dusty, you remember what you used to say about your cousin?
Oh. Would you like to tell people my advice to you when it came to my cousin?
So this is how Dusty would get me to go to his family Christmases and Thanksgivings. Hey, my cousin will be there, and I'd be like, dude, she has a boyfriend. Yeah, but she's not married.
Well, in this case, ladies, stay away. He's happy. All right. Back to who we have on the podcast. It is Tyler, the one and only Spradlin. Tyler is a worship leader. He plays guitar. He does a little singing. He also has a side job because he doesn't get paid to do that.
So, Tyler, how are you doing today?
Doing good.
So, yes, tell us about yourself.
Well, as far as worship leading goes, I've been leading worship for probably, I'd say, 10 years.
Dang, you're old.
Crazy. Yes. Yeah, I didn't think about that until I just said that. That sounds weird.
So how'd you get into it?
Well, I was saved when I was 13. I was going to a church with my friend, and there was this new guy there who was just getting into leading worship and at the time. And I started going weekly, and then a year or two later, I think it was actually our youth pastor's wife. She just said, I remember her saying, I heard you singing in big church is what they called it, in the sanctuary, like on Sundays.
Right, I remember.
Big church.
I still call it big church.
So you have a really good voice, and so I was a little encouragement, and then just gradually worked my way into playing guitar. I got an acoustic, and then Dusty actually let me sing with him.
Wait, this Dusty?
This Dusty.
This guy right here.
Yeah, that's the new guy I was talking about.
I am the story. I'm part of his success story.
Oh, wow.
His success is because of my...
You let this guy actually influence you. Wow.
I wouldn't be doing it today if it weren't for Dusty. I'll say that.
I do remember he was more of a doughy kind of guy.
I was playing football, okay?
He was a lineman.
I ate too much.
He ate a lot.
He wasn't just the lineman. He was the center.
He was the center.
I'm glad you say I was doughy, because that means I'm not now, right?
You're not now. You
might be pudgy now.
But you were very... I remember you were very nervous, and so we used to start by I just had you sing a first verse, or the second verse of songs. Yeah. And then it was... I remember the first song... Do you remember the first song that you fully led?
Oh, yes. Well, I guess not, because I can't think of it. But you something. Oh, come on. I can't think of it.
Found love beyond all
What's that song?
reason.
Hillsong, right?
Yeah. You gave your life, you're all for me.
Yeah, I remember that. I remember you guys coaching me through it. Like, Just lead the song. Just lead people.
Just
Where you
lead
going? Don't just sing it.
Yeah, don't just sing it. If nobody gets saved, it's because you did it wrong.
Exactly. I was like, oh my gosh.
A lot of pressure they put on you.
But you're still doing it today, and obviously we've actually switched roles where TS leads and I back him up. He's that good.
What do you know?
Or I'm just that bad.
Probably the latter of the two.
A little bit of both.
It's really the dancing you do on stage, Dusty, that scares people off.
I think that's why he stays in that role, because we need that. It's valuable.
I'm a little more high energy.
Yeah, we need
Makes up
somebody.
for my lack of quality.
We need somebody who's on Ritalin.
So do you remember that one time?
At band camp.
No, I was just thinking. I was going back to early beginnings. I had trouble praying. Do you know what I'm about to go into?
You had trouble praying.
Out loud, like after a song or after worship. There's this one time I remember, and I tell it all the time, but it's just I was praying, say, God, this, Lord, thank you, and a normal prayer after you would lead worship, and I ended it with, and just, amen. So I was going through all these things, and I said, just, amen.
I guess amen. It's kind of like,
think of anything else.
How do you end this thing? You just kept going and going.
Yeah.
It's always awkward as a worship leader to talk into the mic. Like, that's the worst part for me. Like, I remember one time I was talking, and it's the first song, and the first song of a worship set is always the fast song, right?
Yeah.
And so we did the fast song, and I was like, "Hey, everybody, glad you're here today. Da 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 da. Thanks, bye."
Bye.
Yeah. I was like, okay. And then another time I was like, "Hey, we have 2 services now at our church," and so I was like, "Hey guys, we're glad you're here today. Would you stand as we continue to worship?" And then I'm like, "Wait a minute, this is their first song that we should start worship." I don't know. It's just. And I said that in the mic.
Yeah.
Like, I was thinking through that in the mic. And I was like, what? And I think even this
Wait,
past...
you said all of that?
Yeah, I said, well, it's my second service, your first service. You get the gist. Like, nobody probably even knew what I said. Yeah. It was weird, but...
See what happens when you're not there, TS.
But sometimes that's good. I mean, that's personable, I think. Like, there have been times that I've been there, and you've led, and you've said something, like, offhand, and I think it makes it more personable.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not good at little blurbs like that.
Well, me neither, obviously. Like Christmas, we're doing the Advent candles, and I was like,
"Oh yeah,
today we light the candle of joy for the joy Christ brought to the world."
So joyous sounding, right?
Joy to the world is all I can think of. The Lord has come, right? Chapter 7, we're talking about ministers of music ministers, music ministry. Every church has one. I don't think you can go to a church. You can't even go to a church that doesn't believe in instruments. They'll still have some sort of singing,
Right.
and they'll sing the same genre of songs,
Right.
Contemporary songs.
They'll just clap a lot more.
And they do that. They got some bass guy, doing the bass notes, just the hums.
Yeah.
Boom.
Which you could argue, side note, you could argue that your vocal cords are an instrument. Just saying.
You can. It's true.
They don't want to recognize that.
What's funny, I go to this one church whenever I visit some family, and they believe in that. So they have 2 services, one with instruments and one without.
That's so funny. Huh?
It just speaks to the things that divide churches and where all these denominations have come from.
Right. Picking out one thing and focusing on that.
Yeah, and then you realize later, like, crap, that really didn't matter as much as we thought it did.
Right.
But gonna stay in this in this thing.
So this chapter starts out talking about the origins of the choir. Have you ever sang in a choir?
I have, actually. I'm a choir boy, baby.
Wow. Okay.
You had to have planned that, right?
I didn't, actually.
Oh my gosh.
No, Dusty is just naturally that cheesy.
I am.
I believe it.
I'm a dad.
That's true.
I have dad jokes now.
You are a dad joke.
Talk about personable.
Well, it's great to have you on our podcast, Tyler.
Dusty, you instantly turned red.
Yeah, it's because it's hot in here. I'm about to take my shirt off again. Gosh.
So, TS, have you ever sang in a choir?
Yep, I have.
A church choir or just school choir?
No, I've never sang in a church choir. Just school from like 4th grade.
Have you ever been a part of a church that has had a choir?
I believe so. The church I started at, when I first started going, I was like 9. And I think they had a choir.
Dusty, do you remember our choir?
Growing up, the church
Yeah.
I grew up in, yeah,
Oh my goodness.
it was such a joke. I mean,
It was
sorry, Lord, apologize for that. It wasn't a joke, but
it was all the elderly ladies in the church that wanted to seem important but had nothing else to do.
where I feel like they're the ones that just want to like be able to stare at everybody. Like,
Right.
This message is for you, son. Stop acting up.
Yeah.
Especially some of those grandmas up there. They just straight up snap their fingers pointing at you.
I sang in the choir a few times. Like they were always like, "We need to get you in the choir."
Choir.
And then they pinch his cheeks.
Yeah. And I'm like, how am I going to be in a choir if people see me fall asleep during the sermon?
I guess I haven't experienced that very much. So they would just stay on stage
Yeah.
the whole time.
Yep.
Like at least in the church we grew up in, like they kind of came out right before, like that was the start of the service. Now we kind of fade down the music and the lights. That
Yeah.
was the choir walking in. Choir walks. It's, and that's where the book really starts talking about that. The origins of the choir. It was that kind of. It was kind of just like the start. Like this is the start of the.
Kind of like a segue.
A segue, yeah. Like, how are we going to... Is either flash the lights on and off to let people know, which I go to a church on Tuesday nights, and they do that for people to start moving their way to the worship service.
It's like at an opera or something.
Yeah. So, I was thinking more like when my mom tried to wake me up, she'd flash the lights on and off. Get up, let's go!
Or teachers try and get you to be quiet. Or
That too,
settle
yeah.
down. They flash the lights. My daughter's over there shaking her head yes, so I'm going to take that as affirmation.
That still happens today. So it's just interesting. Like, according to Frankie Viola, he talks about the roots of the choir are found with pagan Greek temples and Greek dramas.
Oh, so they do like little skits?
Well, yeah, it's like
Why don't we do skits?
Some churches do.
Would you do a skit, Tyler?
I think so. I don't think I would want to direct one or create one, but I would be in one for sure.
If you want to do a skit, just go on any mission trip any churches ever take anywhere. That's like the drama skit.
What's it called? Isn't it like Redeemer or something like that?
Well, there's quite a few.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Well, there's one I remember
Right.
specifically.
Like the heart skit and all those. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So I mean, especially if you go to like Mexico or something, that's the big thing is to do VBS and the skit.
Yep. You're right. But however, I just went on a mission trip. I didn't do a skit.
Well, did you go with an official group, Andrew?
I am an official group.
Did you just show up in Peru and just
I
figure
pretty
the
much
thing
just,
out when you got there?
I pretty much just showed up.
Exactly. You had the opportunity to.
No, I didn't have any training.
Just
You could have just done some kind of dance or
they
something.
would have never have known.
Interpretive.
It's the cross between drama and sign language that you're
Yes.
doing over there.
I was doing the only part of the heart skit I remembered.
The use your hands as the
Yeah.
heartbeat. And,
Yep. And then it
raise the
flutters
roof.
away.
What'd you do?
No, it flutters away.
Oh, okay.
So, anyways, back to what Frank Viola is talking about in this book. On AD 367, that's actually when congregational singing, they kind of banned that and they replaced it with music from trained choirs. So it was all about making it more presentable type of thing, making it more of a excellent. We kind of do that now with our bands a little bit. We don't let just anybody like
show up and play.
Yeah, we
Have some sort of formal training.
and some sort of tryout process to where we know that you can actually play excellently.
Right.
So why would they have done that? That'd be more for show, to attract other people?
The book says on page 159, second paragraph, it says that the shift was partly due to the fact that doctrines were spread through hymn singing, and the clergy felt that if the singing of the hymns was in their control, it would curb the spread.
Okay. Sorry, I just got a random story because of what you just said. The
Did you even listen to what I just read?
I listened to everything. That's what got this random story, because you said the doctrine, or they said the doctrine was in the hymns. We actually had, a church I attended without you, kind of in between. There was actually this lady there who said the hymnal was more valuable than the Bible. You learn more from a hymnal than a Bible.
Dude, so we were at a church that we grew up in. Do you remember the guy? There was an old pastor. We were in the process. We had an interim pastor, and he was like really really charismatic for a Baptist church, and was like what did he say? He'd always say "what" all the time, and then he'd say the Christian answer. Anyways, and then he did this thing where he just wrote very long sermons, and he had a timer, and when the timer went off, he would stop right at that word and pick it back up Sunday night. And anyways, we were getting ready to vote on this dude to be the senior pastor, and then one of the final sermons, he had made a statement of, you can learn. There are times where you can learn more out of this hymnal than you can out of this Bible, and people were like, "Boop, you're out of here." But that's how drawn to the hymnal people were.
Not worse, some are. In those very conservative churches. There's still churches like that.
Did you ever go to a church you can sing hymns? TS?
No, I didn't.
Lucky freaking you.
You are lucky.
Yep.
You were born at the right time.
At the right time.
Apparently.
Well, I mean,
Well, of course. I was just gonna say, you were kind of in leadership at the church that I was at, so it's like, if you didn't want that to happen, then obviously I'm not gonna.
That's true.
Anyways,
you're welcome, TS.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Dusty spared you.
Remember, Andrew, we used to have open hymn Sunday night services where people just yell out a number for their favorite song.
Their favorite hymnal, and we would sing it.
It's like a jukebox hymnal?
Basically, yeah. So the game would be to pick one that people didn't know, and the music minister didn't know. So then they're like fumbling through it until they caught on what we were doing, and his name was Rusty. He was a music minister for us, and he started saying, "All right, come up here and sing it with me."
Oh yeah,
that stopped that game pretty quick.
It was fun though, while it lasted.
It was a lot of fun.
And then, do you remember the old big old boy, Southern boy, that was more of an opera singer? This may have been right after you left.
I don't.
Your parents.
There's lots of big old boys in the South.
Your parents know him. He was the music minister there at that same church. Nope. Okay. He was a part of like this folksy country Christian band, or not even a band. They didn't use instruments, like a quartet or something like that.
Acapella.
Yeah. Man, that was fun. Let me tell you.
Side note: my dad was in a Southern gospel quartet growing up.
Oh yeah.
So we used to travel with him all the time. Hear the same cheesy, corny jokes every night. at a different church.
I did not know this about your dad.
Yeah, he's my dad's a tenor, and yeah, it was fun. It was also boring. It got old pretty quick as a kid, all the traveling and stuff. But we'll look back on it now, and it's like, that's a lot of fun. So as we move on in the time period here, around 14, 15 or so, before that time, they didn't have instruments. Instruments was kind of perceived as immoral. Kind of accompanied that with what was going on in pagan times with.
Okay, so you said they didn't use instruments, right?
Right.
I don't think we really went over it. When did we start singing before sermons and all that? Because here's my deal. Did Jesus have anybody sing before he came up to preach?
Yeah, he sang, "Just as I am."
So that's what I want to know. When did it start? I'm sure it says in here. I'm not as prepared this week as I normally am, and I
don't think it says when singing started. I think singing has always been music has always been a part of life.
I don't know.
In the Old Testament, there's sing a psalm to the Lord. There's instruments in there as well.
Yeah, but how many times do we read in the Bible about these sermons or people giving sermons, like Paul giving sermons and all this? They don't ever talk about music.
Okay,
and then even at that, you're saying they didn't have any sort of instrument?
So you're saying from the time we started meeting corporately together, the service itself, not worship in general, but the actual order of worship, the meeting in the houses.
No, yeah, kind of meeting in houses, but not really that. But meeting in the courtyards and in the marketplaces, all that, because they preached everywhere.
TS, do you know?
No, does it not say in the book?
It probably does.
I don't remember hearing it. I didn't read along with it this time.
You're just wondering when that quote-unquote tradition started.
Right.
That
kind of what brought that apart.
When they came together, music and a message.
Right. Because I don't know if you've read the book, but this book tends to go more extreme than I originally thought it would have gone, and kind of says that things are useless in a sense, or a waste of resource. What am I trying to say, Dusty?
Well, he's just his viewpoint. Like, he wants to go back before technology.
Right.
It's like what he says. I agree with some of the reasonings, but I don't necessarily agree that because so as we're talking about the music stuff, one of his big issues is that somebody like Tyler or myself or the guy that plans the songs at our church, they have full control of what's being sung. At some
How long?
At some churches, this time 17 minutes of music.
Right.
And so that's the part he has a hard time with because he believes, and I agree that I can't really totally understand what his belief is because I've never gone to a place that's like that. But he believes at open mic night, basically.
Every time,
yeah.
Yeah.
Like, and there. To me, I'm like, that's cool. There are times for that.
Like spontaneous, organic, whatever you want to call it.
Right.
Exactly. That's what he's more preaching about in this book.
And so, but every time he meets with his group of believers, it's always, somebody just starts singing a song and they all join in.
So does this mean while the pastor's preaching, all of a sudden somebody starts singing?
Well, they don't have pastor preaching there.
Well, they have individuals sharing, right? They don't. But would he suggest that in like a traditional church, while the pastor's singing, if the Spirit leads somebody to start singing, everybody follows along with him? Is that kind of what he's suggesting?
I would guess so, yeah. I think so, but to me, there's a lot of chaos and there's a lot of abuse in that. Where we get asked to sing really old songs all the time, and I think that's where people get stuck on one song. Is, there's a song that you've been going through a certain situation in your life, and you just get so, like, that song helped carry you through it emotionally. And so, yeah, singing songs like "Here I Am to Worship" and, "Open the Eyes of My Heart, Lord," that might take them back to when they gave their life to Christ. And so that becomes like, if ever they can play that song, I want to hear that song. And so then it's kind of like how the older generation has held on to hymns and
Right.
have valued them so much. We tend to start valuing that so much. And so I think that if we had an open mic night, that people would just be singing those same songs.
If we had an open mic night, I'd be having you guys singing "Happy Song."
Happy song.
Oh, Happy Day? Or
No, I could sing.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, oh my gosh.
That was always one of my favorites.
Yeah, and that's a really old song. And I just feel like that's all that would end up happening. Somebody.
Right, I see that.
But I don't, and I agree with him, I don't really know because I've never done that.
Never experienced it.
Right.
Not on a regular basis. I've experienced that where, like at church camp, me, TS, some other guys get some guitars and we just start
singing.
Just start
right.
going. And that's an awesome time, but it also takes a lot of time. So I don't know. I couldn't. I don't know about that being. You couldn't do that and have a structured 1 hour service or 1.5 hour service.
But that's part also his issue is that we've contained it to 1 hour. We have a time frame for it.
Well, so what are we going to do, Andrew? How are we going to fix it?
I'm not the fix-it guy.
You just like to complain.
Does he not have a time that they set that they're going to meet?
They have a start time. They don't necessarily have a finish time.
It's like if you came over to our house for house church. We tend to finish at the same time every night.
Sometimes it's sooner.
Sometimes it's sooner, sometimes it's later. And that would be kind of the thing is with his style is it's more like let God do his thing, but at the same time, like, still anybody's picking a song, so it's just kind of, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
But again, I've never been there, so I don't want to, like, knock it.
I think it would be interesting to see what would happen.
I think
maybe surprise.
Might be, but I think Dusty hit on the head that would lead to chaos.
Well, and the more instruments you add, the more chaotic it's going to get, especially if people don't know all the songs.
I'm bringing a harp.
So I was just talking about how they didn't have music. For some reason, they deemed that music was immoral. It was, kind of like when rock music came out. I think I talked about that in a previous episode where my dad tried to go to a Petra concert and it was a big deal in his church. These kids going to this rock music. How the beat is of the devil. And so that's kind of what they're going through at this time. And then that's where the organ kind of comes into play. The first instrument used by post-Constantinian Christians is the organ. And it's back in the by the 13th century, the organ was main part of mass as well.
But didn't the Calvinists come along and do away with it? Didn't they do away with all instruments?
Calvinism?
Yeah, I believe I read that. I listened to that. I believe they brought in the organ and they said the Calvinists got rid of everything.
Like the book says,
Yeah,
interestingly, there's no evidence of musical instruments until the Middle Ages. But I would also say that in the Old Testament, we see lots of instruments used for worship.
Right.
Not in a service temple worship, I guess, but private worship.
Yeah, so here it says during the Reformation, the organ became the standard instrument used in Protestant worship, except among the Calvinists, who removed and demolished church organs. So yeah, they got rid of them.
TS, have you ever played special music?
Special music, like
we do it a little different now in our church, where the band still plays with somebody else
I
coming.
know what you mean.
Okay.
It's like a separate song that's not worship necessarily.
Right. Somebody individual comes up and
Right.
sings. Usually they would.
We just had that on Christmas,
Did we?
right?
Oh, we did. Yes. We did.
Something similar.
So by the 19th century, that's when the children's choir came into being an integral part of the service. Special music became more of a regular thing. There's a lot of churches where that was part of the order of worship was, 2 songs or 1 song announcement, 3 songs, special music
During
message.
the offering.
During the offering
Yes.
message, yeah. And so that's just interesting. I didn't know if you'd ever. Special music is the worst. I always hate playing special music
I always hated listening to it.
because everybody's.
They could not sing.
I don't know how many times I've heard "Mary, did you know?" to be like, she knows by now. All right.
Yeah, there's no way she still has no.
There was one year at our church that there was a group of, I think it was 4 or 5 girls, and that was their special music song. Well, nobody else had a special music song, so they sang that same song for 3 or 4 weeks in a row.
Let me guess. They all sing unison.
No.
No?
They
Good.
they really practiced.
Good.
They did all right.
There were harmonies involved.
By the middle of the first time, it was over. No, I'm just-
Yeah. Worship team, assemble!
Do you get a special power when you assemble like that?
Yeah. I was gonna say, what is it he uses in that movie? It's like a conch shell or something that he blows in.
Oh, yes. Yes.
I don't know what the equivalent would be.
We should have that like one week. Worship team assemble with all the haze and smoke
Yeah.
and lights. And we all come out.
Dude, that would be so amazing.
It's
Play
so
the,
cheesy.
Monday Night Football song.
Yeah. Bum, 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 bum.
Johnny, we know you're listening, so take this as a hint.
Make it happen. Do it. Do it. Don't think about it. Just do it. So the worship team, the way that Frank Viola describes the worship team is, the worship team will lead a lively, hand-clapping, body-swaying, hand-raising, and sometimes dancing congregation into a potpourri of individualistic, gentle, worshipful singing.
Man, we're doing it way wrong then.
Hand-clapping, body-swaying.
I don't see any of that happening. I see the hand
Hand
raising.
There's a little hand clapping.
Well,
Every now
the
and then.
the first song, sing it if you know it, clap your hands.
Yeah, sing if you know it.
Gotcha. Yes. Okay, so maybe here's the difference. I usually don't go in there till the end of the music. So.
That's the difference.
Well, and that's the next part, followed by the sermon and the pastor who dominates the rest of the service.
That's what it says?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
That's exactly how it goes.
Okay, well, wasn't that great? Now it's my turn.
Yeah. Now let's bring it down a little bit. There was I've been in some meetings, in churches, and that was one of the things is like, man, we got the churches. They're excited, everybody's really motivated, getting pumped up, really engaging in worship, and then you come out and talk and we're just like, wow. It's like you just take a nosedive.
That's
But
been,
I think that happens. There's a nosedive no matter what because everything's kind of stopped.
It's not high energy.
Yeah, it's not as high energy. It's not as music just engages you in a certain way. But
Maybe
so that was said in a meeting.
yeah, it was like a staff meeting at a
Yeah.
church I was a part of. Yeah,
I feel like our pastor does a good job of like making it a point to come out with a
high energy.
yeah. I mean, he
Yeah.
throws out free T-shirts when he's
Yeah.
he's got.
I mean, I'm glad we
T-shirt
invested
cannon.
in that cannon. Yeah.
I know in that slingshot, that thing's been a lifesaver. My arm used to get so tired from throwing out all those T-shirts.
Oh, the Bible bazooka too. Oh, that thing.
Except for that first time we used it. Oh, that kid. I feel bad for him still.
Have you watched the movie Four Christmases?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, there's a part in that movie where the preacher comes out and he goes, "Ladies and gentlemen, your preacher," or something like that, and he's coming out and it's like, confetti going everywhere, and like that's what I feel like people outside of church view
Yeah.
worship services. I feel like I just like watch that and I was like, man, that is probably exactly how people see church from the outside, not ever going.
I'm sure.
Johnny, take note. We want a confetti gun.
All right, put it in a budget.
Oh, I wish it was like that. That'd be so awesome. Just one time, I want to see that.
So it goes on to say the origin of the worship team goes back to the founding of Calvary Chapel in 1965. The founder, Chuck Smith, he started a ministry for hippies and surfers. True story. And so he welcomed the newly converted hippies to retune their guitars and play now with redeemed music for the church.
That is awesome.
And that's the start of a worship band.
Well, I've heard it said a lot of hymns are like old tavern songs, aren't they? Just rewritten
Mm-hmm. I've heard that too.
with Christian lyrics, so to speak.
So apologetics.
Right. It's a Weird Al.
Yeah, that's basically what hymns are, right?
So you kind of mix Weird Al with apologetics.
So like for us, we'd be like, instead of watch me whip, watch me in it, it's we're two bros in the Bible Belt. Oh, we're two bros in the Bible
Okay.
Belt podcast, bros.
Dusty always somehow breaks out into song. Don't know how.
And dance. You just can't
Yeah.
see it.
Can't see it.
We're going to turn this into a video podcast.
Yeah, I'm gonna start coming and bringing a GoPro or something. Just put it in the corner. And
You guys are all like planning this out. This is great.
All right, Dusty. Let's do this.
What the? You got a GoPro right now?
I'm going to record you. Just you.
this just happened.
I'm just gonna take my clothes off, and then you can't use this footage.
Who says I can't?
I think that makes it even more eligible.
Okay, you're lucky. I don't know where my SD card is right now.
Well, good deal. I'm glad that that's not happening.
Yeah, I guess it's turned off. You're lucky.
All right, and then in due time, Andrew, the guitar replaces the organ,
Thank goodness.
and although patterned as after a rock concert of secular culture, the worship team has begun as common as the pulpit.
All right, I'm going to come back to this about the, guitar or it becoming more of a secular culture or modeling it after more of a secular culture because I believe that's a great way to reach a lot of people who ordinarily wouldn't be reached.
Well, let's water down Christianity, Andrew.
But I want to talk about, have you ever been a part of a church with an organ? Tyler.
You're gonna hate me.
I know you haven't.
That's a big fat.
That's why I'm
I
asking.
haven't.
That's why I asked.
I mean, if I haven't been to a church with hymns, chances are I haven't been to a church with organ, right?
Okay, now our church, we had an electric organ. The church we grew up in, Dusty.
Yeah.
Now you got a foot on each side of the fence there.
Yeah. You're right.
I mean, electric is of the devil, but it's still an organ.
We didn't have the big brass pipes coming out of it. However, my grandmother's church, which I attended numerous times, does have those huge brass pipes.
Yeah, I've
And
seen those before.
let me
I
tell
just
you,
thought they were for movies. I didn't
Yeah.
know they existed.
they actually sound great if you know how to play them. The problem is the 80-year-old women playing them don't know how to play them.
They're great for like dun 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 dun.
What would you know about baseball, Dusty?
I played. I go to games. I watch them swing bats.
Like once or twice a year.
You watch them play with balls.
Oh, there goes our rating.
We're gonna have to take
Sorry,
this.
Mom.
We're gonna have to take this off the Christian side now.
What? God made balls, okay? So, and in the Garden of Eden, swing low, sweet chariot.
Until Eve had to go off and eat that apple,
Women.
and then we had to cover them up.
They still deny that it was their fault.
Yeah, and they still deny it.
Every
To
one
this
of them.
day, it's still our fault.
That's proof that men listen to women. Right there.
Do you think Eve just ate the apple just so we would put some clothes on? Do you think that was part of it?
According to the Bible, no.
Oh gosh, I wasn't being literal. Golly. You're like my son. I like dropped a drink the other day and it didn't like spill very much. Besides, it shot straight up and hit me in the face. But besides that minor detail, it didn't spill over. I was like, dang, that's a miracle that didn't spill. And my son was like Jesus and feeding 5,000 people miracle? And I said, no. What? Okay, that's awesome how that happened. Okay, gosh. Figure speech, 7-year-old kid.
Best part of it is I can see your son saying that.
Yeah.
Oh, totally.
Just know the last will be first in heaven.
Yeah. Anytime we're in a race and I'm about to beat him, he's like, the last will be first to heaven. Meaning that since he's not going to win.
Every time. Because I always tell his son, I'm like, I win, you lose. And he's like, I'm first in heaven. I like to torture kids.
What?
That's my daughter.
Ask your daughter, he said.
Yes. You're about to say something, Dusty.
So what's the gripe?
On.
That's the name of the next part of this chapter here.
Oh, what's the gripe? Gotcha.
So what's the gripe? The Bible says every one of you has a psalm. And it actually, he quoted the half a psalm, so he's King James, which there's already... Really? That's the version you're going to... Or maybe he just likes to say half.
I want to know how many in his house church say half. I want to know what Bible version his house church uses. Speaking of that, what Bible version do you use, T.S.?
I use the Message.
Oh, good.
That's just a companion. That's not the real Bible.
Yeah, that's just as bad, right? That's King James. Companion.
What did we look up the other day? We were reading something at house church. It was kind of like the Message. Oh, I love this guy.
It was Ebonics.
Ebonics Bible.
Oh, we have one of those at our house church.
It is hilarious.
It is. I read it as a redneck, so I'm not allowed to read it anymore. Like, how do you read Ebonics as a redneck? I was like, I don't know. I'm just reading what it says.
So Jesus said, yo, man, chill.
I think it actually said that. Like, no joke.
Right.
And Brother. I think Brother was in it a lot.
Yep, Brother was in it. Yep. Yeah, we have an Ebonics. We actually have 2 Ebonics Bibles at my house church. I use the Net Bible.
Like .net?
No, as in the New English translation? I believe that's what the Net is. And it was supposed to be, when it came out, it was supposed to be the most literal translation. Because, Greek words and, Greek words, what are the other 2? Like Arabic and...
Hebrew,
thank you. One word may have like 10 meanings.
Yeah.
And so at the bottom of the Net Bible, in the footnotes, it'll have all 10 different meanings of that word and why they chose the word that they placed in there.
So instead of reading through a verse at church and your pastor being like, well, in Greek that means, or in Hebrews that means, they already just made a Bible that has that in there.
Right.
Cool.
But then you can be like, well, actually, Pastor, it could also mean...
Exactly. I have done that so many times. I'll lean over to Lisa and I'll be like, actually, it means this or this or this or this.
But he used this particular word because... Hold on, let me find it.
I just think that that's just so funny. Like, how we dumb down. Like, when David killed Goliath, he picked up some stones. And we got to break down what that stones meant.
All right. The first stone stood for...
These stones stood for the 5 tribes of...
Oh, yeah, I know.
And it's just like, could he have just picked up 5 stones? Because that's all he could grab with his tiny little hands?
Yeah.
Seriously. I want to know, how many stones can your son pick up?
Well, what kind of stones are we talking about? We're talking about gravel road stones or stones
Well,
in
they
your
have to
yard?
be big enough to kill a giant.
Yep.
I don't know.
And did he use both hands?
Ooh, touche.
Probably. He probably used 2 hands.
Well, I don't know. He had to have the slingshot in one hand.
That's true. Just kidding.
He had a pocket. Could have picked up put the slingshot in the pocket, picked up 2 hands worth of stones, put them in his fanny pack.
His moleskin fanny pack. Where are we at, Dusty?
So we're on the what's the gripe, and I kind of like how in this book at the end of each chapter he does kind of a frequently asked questions type of thing.
Well, they're questions that readers have written into him or written to him.
Because it's a revised, okay.
Right?
It's revised
With George Lorna.
So he's got a deal when worship songs can only be announced, initiated, and led by the talented. This element of worship becomes more like entertainment than corporate worship. And I get that to a point, but I also think that people are over you to help you lead. God's appointed people to lead you.
Kind of like a pastor.
Yeah, and I think showing up and that's more throwing something together than it is somebody who's prayerfully considered for a week or two what we're going to do this week.
Yeah. But I can see how he can go from the organic, like, whatever's on this person's heart at the time. I can see how he would feel that way about that.
It's just really hard, and it's just really hard to do that.
Yeah.
Like, all the time.
Would that kind of be like speaking in tongues? Just, when God brings it upon you to start singing some random song. I mean, speaking in tongues, is that kind of like a gift? Because I never have an urge to sing any random songs. Oops.
Well, and we have a friend, mutual friend, because I don't really understand speaking in tongues. I'm a Baptist. We don't even believe that's real. We skipped the third verse in all the hymns because it had to deal with the Holy Spirit.
Did you just say, I'm a Baptist, Dusty?
That is what he said.
Okay. I thought you were a Christian.
Oh, my gosh. Shut your mouth.
I mean,
I'm a believer in Jesus.
This is pagan Christianity, right?
Right. We follow pagan rituals.
So I've come from the Baptist faith and message belief system that I've been indoctrined with my life. Okay? Crap, I don't know what I was saying.
Speaking in tongues.
So I've always assumed that when you spoke in tongues, it was always like uncontrollable. Like it was God.
Hey, hold on 1 second, okay? Hey, Jason, you're on my podcast right now. What's up?
I'm on your podcast?
Yeah, we're recording, and I just put you on speakerphone. You want to say hi to everybody?
Hey, how's it going, everybody?
What's up, man? Jason Henry?
Jason Henry. Yeah, you know Jason.
Battle Flag Ranch.
Battle Flag Ranch, a great veteran organization right there. So, hey, Jason, let me give you a call back. We're about to wrap this up.
Oh, okay.
All right, later.
He's kind of like, what happened? What
Yep.
just happened? We have a mutual friend. I've always believed that, as coming from a Baptist, that speaking in tongues was uncontrollable. That the Spirit just came over you and you just started speaking in tongues. When you look in Acts chapter 2 and the Spirit comes down, like, it just seemed more uncontrollable to me. Like they just started doing it.
Right.
And so that's how I've always kind of saw. Like, man, that must be how it is, But then I've played drums at like this Pentecostal church, and they, like, it was a planned thing at the end. You know how we pray at the end of a worship set?
Yeah.
They speak in tongues at the end of a worship set, but
Right.
not with an interpreter or anything, just blabbing. And so we have a mutual friend. He's a pastor. We were going to have him on a podcast, but you know how pastors are. Their schedules always change. And
Oh, I thought you were going a different direction with that.
oh no, but I do want to talk to him about this because we've had some conversations in the past because he said he can speak in tongues, he can turn it on and off whenever he wants to, and so I don't know much about speaking in tongues. I don't really think it's like speaking in tongues because if you can turn it off and on whenever you want to, and that's what he says. That's why the Bible says, I'd rather speak one intelligible word than 1,000 words in tongues, because because of that, so that does kind of say, well, maybe it is something that you choose to do because of that verse, I guess. But
Oh yeah, I never thought about that.
so I
If you
don't
have a
think you're
choice.
right in saying it's like speaking in tongues, but I don't really understand speaking in tongues because I'm Baptist. Because I always wondered, I was like, man, I'm Baptist, if speaking in tongues was real, why wouldn't I just start speaking in tongues? But apparently that's not how it works.
Okay, from what I understand, speaking in tongues is a fruit of the Spirit, and some are blessed with that. Sorry, a gift of the Spirit. Some are blessed with that gift, and others are not. However, also in Acts it says if you speak in tongues, there must be an interpreter around to interpret.
Right,
what
and in
you
his
said.
church, they do have an interpreter that stands up and interprets the tongue.
Okay, I've been in a church where there was this interpreter that interpreted what was said. However, the pastor was like, no, that's not what they said. Sit down. Because the pastor, I guess, understood it, and this other person misinterpreted, I guess.
You're just making stuff up.
Exactly. But she was called out in front of the congregation from the pulpit. And I appreciated that. I was like, that was really my first encounter with it since becoming a Christian. I had gone to a church before I became a Christian in which everybody would just start breaking out speaking in tongues. And I had no idea what was going on. I was like, should I leave now or what? Do you have that gift, Tyler?
I don't think so. Yeah. I've always been taught too that it was something that just spontaneously happened, and that there should be an interpreter, and that it was, it's a language that can only be understood by whoever the interpreter is, I guess.
That's what
It's an actual language. So that's where I go, well, how can you turn it on and off without, because you're not supposed to actually understand what you're saying.
Right.
So if you can turn it on and off, then you should, you would think that you would know that language or something. I don't know.
All right, Dusty, we need to start wrapping this up. So did you have anything else that you wanted to talk about that Frankie brings up?
Well, I guess I would say where I stand in this after reading this and my experiences. I understand where Frankie's coming from. I understand that we are limiting people by not being able to express themselves in worship and being free to worship the way God's told them or whatever. But at the same time, I don't think this works in the church. The way the church is set up right now, you can't have spontaneous worship because it's a mess. You can't get that second. You're having multiple services and all this stuff. It's got to be timed. That's why it is. It's a machine. It's like going to the movies. It's got to end by this time so we can start the next one and have time to clean up in between. So but I've been a part of times where it's been like that, and there's been awesome experiences and awesome times of worship. So I don't know. I do think it's funny, just music in general. We can't do anything as a church without playing some songs before. It's such an integral part of the church services in general. Right. So it just frustrates me. On that side of it, there's always got to be music in everything we do.
Right.
And that frustrates me.
Is there anything else you wanted to talk to our guest about?
Well, I guess one more thing with me. The way remember, Tyler, you're a part of when we were kind of starting a church plant. You were kind of a part of that process. One of the things we talked about, and the way I see what Frank is kind of going towards, is we talked about starting a church where, as a group, we only met for one night a month. And so the rest of the nights we do house church kind of thing, Bible study kind of thing. And so we would do the house church kind of thing once a week at different houses, and then we'd meet once a month corporately. And I see his kind of style meeting where we can kind of combine the two, where we can meet in homes. We can have those times where, you hear many pastors and churches say, real life change happens in a small group setting. And so I think if we focus more in the small group settings, and then once a month, we don't just throw out the corporate worship with the band that has learned songs to play them well. We don't throw that out, but we don't have to have that all the time, I
I
think.
agree.
And so if we were just to meet once a month and have that time where it's a 2, 3, 4 hour thing, it's kind of, there's no end time on that kind of service.
Even come and go, like if you want to come for a short amount of
come
time
and go. We've done like nights of prayer where there's bands playing or whatever. New Life Worship Center in Colorado Springs, they have an awesome thing. And I think that just should be how the church kind of operates sometimes, is they have a prayer tabernacle place. This is about the size of our whole auditorium. But where music's playing, you can constantly come in and pray. You can there's a sound system set up. You can plug in guitars and lead worship. Music.
Nice.
You can do whatever. There's no schedule. There's kind of some like people like, hey, I'm going here this time, and it's just more spontaneous that way, And I think we can have that and the other, but you can't do that on Sunday morning.
Definitely not. I don't believe you can either.
What's your stance, Tyler?
Well, I think kind of if you zoom out a little bit in this whole thing and think, and we talked about this a couple weeks ago in church, it's a lot of it has to do with culture, honestly, and what people are attracted to. I mean, I would be lying if I didn't say that we wanted to be an attractive place to come to. I mean, the end goal is to see people come to know the Lord and grow closer to the Lord. And so it's like, I don't know necessarily that we're doing anything wrong, but it's about, what are people going to respond to best, and are they going to feel comfortable in that kind of a setting, or are they just not going to ever come back because that's weird to them? I think different people are just meant for different styles.
Mm-hmm. Like, not everybody's going to want to just show up at somebody's house randomly for Bible study.
Right.
Not everybody wants to show up Sunday morning to a bunch of people in one meeting place.
Right. We've been assuming that everybody is the same. I mean, this whole time.
For one, the people we're trying to reach are probably hungover from the night before. So why are we starting so early?
At our church, probably.
But you know what I mean? Like, why are we starting so early? Like, we say show up at 9 a.m. to church. Well, golly, most of these people stayed out, have lives.
Right. Some people are just going to bed at 9 a.m.
Maybe. For
maybe
New Year's,
not,
I finally,
but-
I stayed up past 1 for the first time. Like, I stayed out.
Yeah, me too.
I went to IHOP at 1 in the morning. Who does that?
I went to bed at 12:01.
I was hurting the whole next day.
Actually, I was in bed at 12 o'clock, and I looked at my phone. I was like, oh, it's midnight, and I got in the bed and went to sleep.
What about you, Andrew? What's your takeaway from this chapter?
It was another extreme chapter, in my opinion.
Well, I think they all are going to be, but I think we can find truth in it.
There's a little bit of truth. I guess. I don't know. Because he kind of relates it to a concert to attract people and all that. And yeah, that's kind of what it has turned into. And I'm kind of tired of that scene, like the lights and the haze and all that. But I don't want to go back to organs and pianos and choirs and hymnals.
Or a cappella. Like, that's stupid too.
Right. I still want a guitar. I don't necessarily need the lights and the smoke and all that.
Right.
Or haze, whatever.
I like how we all call it the right term of haze.
Right.
We correct ourselves.
We correct ourselves because it's not smoke, it's water.
Right. It will not set off a smoke detector or smoke alarm. It is haze. It's just water. So yeah, but I'm tired of all that, but I can still live with it. I mean, it doesn't, and I guess I could still live with hymnals, but that's not my cup of tea.
I feel like the church is going in a more direction of what he was saying. I don't think necessarily that drastic, but I think that it'll come to a happy medium of, and just that's just the way, like that's just culture is like that now. It's like local and organic and just small, and so I think that always culture always affects church, no matter how much we want to say it shouldn't.
Right.
It always does. I mean, it's humanity. I mean, it all plays into it.
Well,
And
we're
so I
trying
feel
to
like-
compete with the culture. We're trying to say,
Yeah.
don't go do this, go to church.
Yeah. So I think it's just naturally going to flow that way, anyways. Which I agree. I would like to see it do that as well.
I feel like we should end in a song.
You two can sing if you want. I am not.
Isn't there some Dr. Pepper song that you know?
Oh, gosh. Maybe one of these days we'll play that song.
One of these days I
It's not
randomly
a
insert
worship
it.
song. You suggested a secular song.
Oh my goodness, not secular.
We can even go. That's a whole separate debate of secular music, Christian music.
Trying to get that rating up there again.
Yeah, go back to it.
Maybe after we finish Frankie's book, we'll just start doing topics like that. We don't know, because we haven't really decided what we're doing after Frankie's book.
Well, I mean, I think we can go more into how we see church and stuff. Frankie's not the only one out there talking, so we're a few
He's
years
not.
late to his book anyway. So there's tons
According
of stuff out
to
there.
his email he sent you, yes, we are. He's written, a million other books since then.
Yeah.
Well, I think we're going to wrap it up this week. Have a good one, guys.
Just as I am without. Andrew, don't cut me off. Two bros in the Bible Belt.